Hello, Gemini. This is your last horoscope for the year 2022. Can you believe it? Hello, Gemini. Welcome back. As I said, this is your last horoscope for this year. It's been a lovely road with you so far, and I really appreciate your likings and subscribings to my work. It's really meant the world to me. You've changed me in a lot of ways, and for that I'm so incredibly thankful. And I look forward to what happens next year. There's quite a few major ingresses, transitions of sign, that we'll make note of and that we can probably put in our diaries as a moment to meditate on. But for the remainder of 2022, we have one more lunation. We have the new moon in Capricorn, which is happening on Friday, the 23rd of December. If you're in the Southern Hemisphere with me, so if you're in the Northern, it's 22nd, you get it. And this lunation is a new moon, a lovely dark night, a black night, a night for spell work, and it's going to be affecting your 8th house, which is incredibly interesting to me, Gemini, particularly after perhaps some of the difficulty, possibly, that we may have experienced at the last lunation, at the full moon in Gemini, the full moon conjunct Mars, and the reverberations perhaps of some of that fire, some of that frustration that you might be feeling or you may have surmounted, This lunation, this Capricorn new moon is really, I feel, quite foundational in the way I want to talk about this. There's something that we can look to a Capricorn and admire is their work ethic, their stridency, their ability to get something done, to build something from nothing, to apply themselves. And this energy is helpful and beneficial to us as a mutable sign, as you are, Gemini. There is a movability in your nature. There's definitely high conversation, and there is changeability that you're capable of. We look to Capricorn to start it, to lead it. I like this because this is a lunation in your 8th house, and the 8th house is where we grieve. The 8th house is where we find our individual essence bound in some contractual way with another. We sometimes experience the intensity of a sexual relationship in the 8th. We sometimes feel the sorrow of having to say goodbye to something of that nature, of letting that relationship go, that soul contract go. We find ourselves involved in collaboration in the 8th. We find ourselves working with other people's resources, or finding how our resources are relied upon by others, and the intermingling of that and some of the difficult conversations around that too. The 8th house is taboo. That's probably a really simple word to use for the 8th. And it depends on your star sign. A lot of people are really good at the 8th. I'd like you to think about your Scorpio friends for a moment and their ability to go there with strength, I'd like for you to think about probably your Cancer and your Pisces friends too, in different ways. I think Scorpio obviously is, in the natural zodiac, the leader of the 8th house. But there's definitely emotional intensity, I feel, in the 8th. For you, Gemini, this is where Capricorn is in your chart. So that's an interesting relationship. To have Capricorn, as we said, who is strident and has a brilliant work ethic, has a rigidity, something about this rigidity attached to this emotional depth of the eighth. What's going on there? And do you have planets in Capricorn? And if you've got planets in Capricorn, I wonder how this feeling of rebirth might be showing up for you. I say this because the eighth can talk to rebirth. If we think about grief, we think about it like this. I like to. And that there's a birthing of something else to come after the dissolution of something that we need to say goodbye to. The eighth, in a lot of ways, has a lot to do with the beginning of the essence of our soul. When two individuals come together in an intense way and share love in the most intimate of terms, this is when new life forms. So there is that death and sex and life all wrapped up into one. The eighth is a majestic place. And another planetary energy to describe some of these topics as well would be Pluto. And Pluto is the planet that is the harbinger of destruction in order to clear a way for the new. Pluto is the one that bears ownership or rulership over all of the hidden treasures on planet Earth, all of the jewels, all of the precious metal, all of the death, all of the loss, the things that we bury. Pluto has ownership over these things. And Pluto's in Capricorn right now. Pluto's in your 8th house right now. Pluto has been in your 8th house since 2008. And so with the outer planets, we recognize when they transit personal planets of our own. We recognize when they form aspects to one another that are a little more precise because of their far-reaching energy, and because these sorts of themes are so what am I trying to say? Are so deep that I'd be very interested to have a look at your chart, Gemini, or for you to look at your chart and for you to recognize what planets you may have in Capricorn or in aspect to Pluto. I think that I can feel you on the beginning of something really profound, Gemini, and it would be really lovely for you at this lunation, as much as it's the holiday period and as much as this is a time for mirth and for coming together and being grateful for what the year prior has given us, the gifts that we've received, the lessons that we've learned. This is a power lunation to have right at the end of this year. One way to celebrate it, would be if you're in relationship, or if you have someone around, it might be a beautiful evening to make intense love to one another, and in that physical ritual express to each other the connection. I didn't realize, and isn't that funny? as much as you think you're over everything, and as much as you I prepare for these things, and I think that I've got my head around, where everyone might be at with the current transits and stuff like that. I did not realize, Gemini, that Pluto has been in your 8th house. That's wild to remark upon. And I think that there's probably something that we can look forward to. Pluto finally will be leaving Capricorn for good into 2024. They will be entering Aquarius next year in March, but then they'll be retrograding back into Capricorn come June. And then they'll spend a time in their retrograde motion and then station direct once more, and then we'll be entering entering Aquarius full time in 2024. But this is probably some really great astrology for you to meditate on, and to just allow I've really lost my train of thought on this one, Gemini. And isn't that funny? Because I want to talk to you about another little aspect that's happening, and this might be a great sort of way to maybe sort of reconcile some of these thready thoughts that I'm having. The lunation, so the sun and the moon, are at 1 degree in Capricorn. They're forming a square with Jupiter at 0 degrees in Aries. We know that Jupiter brings with it optimism and expansion and magnification. And Aries for you is your 11th house, which is your sense of greater community, your sense of the group, the collective consciousness of humanity itself. And I would suggest that there's going to be a great deal of jubilation in that area for you as Jupiter makes its transit through Aries. And as Jupiter comes into conjunction with Chiron as well at 11 degrees, that's going to be a lovely moment to tend to perhaps the wounds of others, perhaps look out and constructively figure out how you can be of help for the group. At this lunation in this square, I would really love for you to bring it back down into your moment. Think about that. Think about the ferocity of Pluto. I know from experience what a Pluto transit can bring to an individual. It's a profound feeling. For Pluto to be in your 8th house, I can see Persephone, I can see Ceres, I can see the winter, and I can see the terror and also the beauty. Pluto does not wish to oppress us, but Pluto is not going to allow us to continue any further in a mode that isn't working. Pluto will take what needs to go from our essence. And sometimes that can be really difficult. And sometimes it feels like it's just not fair. And sometimes there is nothing to do but grieve or come. I hope that this isn't inappropriate, Gemini, and you can take this any which way that you'd like to. I think that there's an extra emphasis in your 8th house at present. Venus is there, Mercury is there, Pluto. This journey that you're on that has got a great deal to do with the benefit of other people and their healing and their well-being. You're thinking big. in your 11th house. Your 11th house is ruled by Aries. You know, you're the leader of that charge. I respect you for it, Gemini. This lunation is a powerful one. And whatever is feeling taboo at the moment for you, it could be go for it. Go for it. At this new moon in Capricorn, I want you to allow the strictness of a Capricorn Venus, that taskmaster, allow her to get it out of you. I hope that made sense, Gemini. Gosh, I was onto a really good start with these readings. And that's a beautiful configuration. If you'd like to learn more about Pluto, you know what? If you'd like to learn more about Pluto, sign up to my newsletter. I'm going to be writing about Pluto. Yeah, at this as we enter Capricorn season. And also message me. Send me a comment on these videos. Let me know what you'd like to learn about astrology as we enter this new era. There's a lot of major planets making ingresses into new signs. So there'll be a changing of our perceptions. There'll be a changing in culture, a changing in the era. And if you like my teaching style, then please let me know what you'd like to learn next. Because I'm gunning for next year. It's going to be beautiful. Until I see you next year, be responsible, be practical, be disciplined, and be intense, Gemini. You're allowed to be really intense at this new moon. Go for it. Bye.